understanding of how the organization works because you are exposed to all of the information.
Yeah.
So I would say that it was a really good
not to diminish the ambassador's role, but I think a lot of what an ambassador, from what you described, a lot of what he does is thanks to that preparation work that is put in place beforehand.
And people underestimate it, but being on top of things there really helps to make sure that the ambassador, he or she, doesn't have to worry about those details,
Yes. You do all the preparation work in the background so that the ambassador can excel in his role.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that was 2.5 years.
Yes.
And did you leave the embassy or?
No, so after that, a colleague left the embassy. The consular officer, the embassy left.
Okay.
So because I was already doing the job when she was on vacation, in terms of taking in applications for visas and passports and that kind of thing at the front desk. They thought that it was a good fit. I didn't need to be trained because I was already trained for the position. So that would have been in 2021, just when things were kind of opening back after COVID-19. In terms of trying to figure out how to manage the consular section, there was a little bit more management of the appointments to make sure that people didn't cross paths because we're still trying to ensure everyone's safety. So still with the mask wearing and all of that, and then the appointments were really limited. As I said, because you're trying to make sure that people aren't going to encounter each other at the front desk and across. So I had to basically jump into that role because again, while they were still looking for a replacement for mine. So for a few months, I did it too.
Wow.
But that's the highs and lows of working in a small embassy. And I actually, I like that because you get to be in so many different roles.
A lot of experience.
And it exposes you to a lot of different things. So that consular section now was dealing with it from the perspective of an embassy. Whereas before I was dealing it from a ministry's perspective.
That was actually going to be my question, in that you, from how it sounds, basically in the field of diplomacy, you've sat more or less on all sides of the table. I can't even say on both sides. So I'm listening to you talk and I'm like, wow, so you've dealt with receiving dignitaries, you've dealt with protocol and administrative affairs from that side, but you've also dealt with the dignitaries themselves who would be receiving that sort of correspondence.
So sometimes I would still pinch myself and be like, wow, because the people that I would be interacting with when I was in the ministry, they became my colleagues when I switched across to the embassy, and I'd be like, what's your experience with this, And so I, especially as the management assistant, the assistant to the ambassador, my counterparts would be those people that I was working with in the protocol section. So, you
are the other side of the phone now.
I was just on the other side of the fence now and seeing things. I'm like, okay.
That's crazy.
Understanding what works, what doesn't work, what could be done differently, so getting, as you say, a whole look at diplomacy from both sides. But also because different sides, because you're working for Trinidad and Tobago within the ministry, but also working for the embassy with an understanding.
Working for the Netherlands.
So that's what it was.
So what I have as a question now is, seeing that you have sat on both sides of the fence, what is your perspective of diplomacy in terms of what is required in the field? Like, I can't imagine that there are many people who would have worn as many figurative hats as you in this space. So what is your perspective of diplomacy? Not just, I would say, for Trinidad, because right now you work with the Netherlands, like, but from a global perspective.
I would say, so I'm gonna talk in terms of the small states space, because that's where we've interacted.
Yes.
So the Dutch Embassy is not only accredited to Trinidad and Tobago. The Dutch Embassy here is not only accredited. So when I say accredited, is that they follow, or the ambassador would be accredited, meaning that he'd be allowed to work right in Trinidad and Tobago. But they also follow, this embassy in here also follows what's going on in Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia. Right. Don't think I missed any, but basically the Eastern Caribbean states and Barbados, right? And I would say, it's that countries, the CARICOM countries, have done a lot of work in terms of being there present. Right. Especially as small states, it's difficult to make sure that your voice is continuously being heard. Right. And within, I would say within the last few years, you really do find that persons are reaching out to CARICOM countries, especially on issues like climate adaptation and climate mitigation, and trying to figure out how best to elevate these countries in terms of their development. Right. I think one of the challenges is having enough people to basically follow through on all of the different projects and ideas, and going from conception to actual implementation to seeing it through to execution. We are really, in terms of CARICOM countries, they're really punching above their weight. And it's to be able to get projects off the ground, and for the development of the region. That is where it becomes tricky. Right. And also being able to find the funding to basically fund these projects, because a lot of these projects are millions, if not sometimes, depending if it's a large infrastructure project, billions of dollars. And the thing is, Caribbean countries, a lot of them, because of the relatively high GDP per capita, they actually don't qualify for the kind of development assistance that people would think. So a lot of these projects have to be funded in the budgets of these countries, or they would have to go to international organizations that could assist. Right. And so it's being able to figure out how to prioritize which projects are high impact, and being able to get people who will be able to follow through on those projects.
So that sounds that, again, I'm listening to you, and like, I'm just hearing more and more responsibilities that you probably had.
Well, this came from, so this wasn't from the management assistant or the consular role. Because a few years after being in the consular role, so as I said, dealing with persons who would come to the consular section and they'd need a visa, or Dutch nationals who need passports, Dutch nationals who are in distress. So again, because at this point in time, I'm working for the Dutch government. But then a couple years later, so this would have been in late 2022, there was an opening again in the embassy. And this was for the senior policy officer. So by the beginning of 2023, I was now in the policy position. So that experience of actually being in the meetings and hearing what are some of the concerns of Caribbean countries in terms of their development and meeting their development goals. That came from being, following the meetings,
right,
following the news,
yes,
seeing how Dutch interventions, perhaps in water, because they're experts in water,
right,
water management, water technology.
yes,
in agriculture, they also do a lot in agriculture and technology, merging the two, climate adaptation, seeing what interventions the Dutch would have already worked on can work in a Caribbean context.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, mind blowing. So, just to pivot slightly, the actual reason why I reached out to Shantal and one of the, I don't want to say the main reasons, but one of the, at least for me, the most interesting reasons, everything I said already is interesting, by the way, is because I found out from you that you're actually going to be leaving the country soon.
Yes.
And so I'll leave you to talk a bit about it because I have a few questions about it. So where are you going and how and why?
So I'm going to Canada.
Okay.
I am going.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm off to a new adventure, seeing how, what else is out there to explore.
Yes.
I am going in October.
Okay.
So a couple of weeks from now, the deadline is coming. And I'm going to Ottawa because Ottawa is where the embassies, international, some of the international NGOs and that kind of thing, they would have offices in Ottawa.
Okay.
So I feel that with my experience that is where, I could best find, a job that is in alignment with what I would like to work in and working in the development space, working with international NGOs, international organizations, embassies, and continuing in international relations and diplomacy.
Right.
So I going because I just think that now is
a good
time to take a risk.
Yes.
It's risky to leave your country, everything that back then when I was 17, I didn't.
Completely different to now.
Yes, you were. I don't think you were aware of
you didn't know better.
Yeah,
you didn't know better. You didn't know better. Whereas now, So question. So I wondered when I first heard this news that you probably were planning this for like years and years.
No, so I wasn't.
Tell us a bit about the process. How easy it was, how long it took.
It's a process. So, and I think, again, foreign languages, speaking French came in really, really, handy as part of the application process.
Okay.
Because there is a special category for persons who want to apply for permanent residency for Canada.
Okay.
A category for people, Francophone, so French-speaking people who would like to live outside of Quebec.
Right.
Because Quebec is the French-speaking province.
Right.
But they want to increase the number of Francophone communities that are outside of Quebec.
Right.
So part of the process would have been a French exam, which I was able to do, and points were allocated,
Was the exam hard?
The exam was no. And I would say that it wasn't, not to say that it's not an exam that you have to prepare for, because like with any exam,
of course,
you have to prepare the technique in terms of writing, speaking, listening, comprehension.
Right.
But I would definitely say that my French experience and continuing
to work in the language,
because I don't know for you, but I would just put on the news in French and I continuously did that even when I came back.
Yes.
Listen to French music, watch French movies. It's
still part of you. It's still part of you.
It's still a part of me, and I still miss it. So
same here.
So you understand, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need to exercise that muscle a bit.
Yes.
So I never really lost it,
of course.
And I was able to submit my application, and then they would have seen the high French scores.
Right.
And so I was called from, because there's an express entry pool. So basically where you submit an application saying, I would like to be considered.
Right.
And from the express entry pool, they pulled my application, I would say a month and a half after I submitted.
Wow.
They invited me to apply for residency.
Okay.
And then, well, it's the same, of course, making sure they would want to make sure that you have work experience, university, and the more things that you have that they are looking for, the more points you would get. Right. So that process took a few months, but nothing lengthy, I would say. And then, the application came through.
So in all, how long would you say you spent from your first interest or application to actually being accepted?
So from my first interest, so in terms of getting all the documents prepared, doing the exam, because it's not just French, but English, you get points for that as well. I would say about 7-8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but I would say it's because of French.
Yes.
French, having that, it actually helps a lot.
Expedite the process.
If it was just a general application, I'm not sure that it would have received the same priority.
Right.
Now they do have other priority categories. For Canada, but I would not have qualified for those other categories. So for persons who are in the medical profession, that kind of thing. But I'm not. So
yes.
Yeah.
But your superpower in this case was French.
Yes. Superpower in this case.
Thank you once again to French for helping you along. So
but I would just add that it's not just about French. I think foreign languages on the whole, being able to have that as a superpower. And once you're able to learn one language, learn a next language, I don't know for you, but it made it easier for me. For example, I studied Dutch for 2 years.
Right.
Because when you want to be able to read some of the things that are coming into the embassy. And because of that, the strong foundation in foreign languages, I was able to get to a level where, I could read something. Maybe I still need a dictionary for some words, that kind of thing, but still be able to pick up rather quickly. Yeah.
So, just to tie into that, because it's one of the questions that I wanted to ask, did you think when you were in secondary school, did you see yourself having achieved so much because of foreign languages? And I guess a second part to this is to somebody who, let's say, is 11, 12, 13, might be in Form 2 or Form 3, and might be looking to decide which subjects they would like to study. Why should they consider one, if not more, foreign languages?
Well, it's funny that you should ask that question, because I never saw myself as a foreign, I was always interested in foreign languages. Right? But French actually was very difficult for me in the beginning.
Me too.
Especially how to ask questions.
Yes.
To the point where my father, he went to a bookstore and bought a book and I could practice. Practice.
Yes.
Spanish. It came in, I guess, because we are accustomed. We're in sort of, we understand Spanish through para and that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's easier to grasp.
Right.
But in the beginning, French was difficult, right? But I just loved foreign languages. I loved the idea, the possibility of being able to talk to people in any part of the world where, so for example, Spanish, all the Spanish-speaking countries.
Yes.
If you consider that, that's...
all of Latin America.
Right?
Spain.
And then you add French to that, that's all of, all the Francophone countries.
A lot of countries in Africa, French Caribbean.
So that opens you up to being able to... right? It opens you up to being able to speak to these people, to understand their cultures, their way of life. Without my French experience in Lille, for example, I would not have been able to understand and grasp some of the concepts of how close we are to Africa.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Sitting around a table with African brothers and sisters and understanding, oh wait, y'all have sorrel? Oh no, we call it BSAP. Oh, yeah, we drink this too, you know? And so just having that experience in foreign languages. But the other day I opened a drawer in my house. I was looking for something else, and I saw these reports from when I was like 5, 6 in school. And I didn't even realize that at 5 I was learning Spanish. I didn't know. Right? And one of the things in the comments was that I had a decided flair for learning a foreign language.
All right.
I'm like, oh, this is
whoever wrote that. They knew exactly what they were saying.
So even at 5, I was, I guess
already
was showing
interested.
that I was interested in languages. And I mean, I did other things like geography and history because I just wanted to understand the world.
Yes, okay.
And I saw languages and geography, history, those subjects
as part of learning the world.
As part of learning the world. You could learn about different ways of life, different, different rock formations and how that influences a city and how a city is built. And yeah, for me, all of it is fascinating, right?
All right, so let me get back to my second part of my question. I should have asked this separately.
Yes.
So for a young person today, somebody in Form 3, they have the subjects in front of them that they're going to choose when they're going into Form 4.
Yes.
Why should they, not even if they should, why should they choose at least one, if not more, foreign languages?
I think they should choose at least one because, I mean, at least one foreign language.
We biased, so we're going to say choose all, but...
Yeah, I would say choose all because the more languages you can speak, the more you can interact with people and understand the world.
Of course.
But if you had to choose one subject, I would always recommend choosing a foreign language because it comes in handy when you travel.
Yes.
If you want to explore outside of Trinidad and Tobago, it comes in handy at times that you don't even consider. From the time you you say, I want to go to Panama. Right?
Good shopping.
Right? The moment you step on the plane, they have the announcement in Spanish. Of course, they'll have it in English afterwards. But it's always good to be able to learn a foreign language, to be able to speak to people, to be able to make sure that you are understood.
Yes.
Right? And the thing about languages is that it can take you in so many different places because it is international in just how it is made up.
Yes.
Right? When I say that, I mean that you're not speaking or you're not learning Spanish to stay here.
True.
It is to be able
apply
to go
somewhere
out
else.
there and apply it somewhere else and to be able to connect with people. So if you like connecting with people and showing your culture, but also learning about other people's cultures, then a foreign language is always, a superpower to have. If you're interested in international relations, in diplomacy, in those types of international fields, international business, international tourism,
international anything,
right? If you're interested in anything international, if you are thinking global, if you want to go outside of the islands, and even if you want to interact with people in other parts of the Caribbean, right?
Cuba, Dominican Republic, Guadeloupe, Martinique.
Right. So once you're thinking regional, once you're thinking international in anything that you're doing, as I said, business, tourism, diplomacy, anything.
Law, medicine.
Law. I said, even if I was that kind of person. No matter what I did, it had to have an international aspect to it, right? So if you're that kind of person, then a foreign language is one of the things that I think would really be a solid aspect of your foundation.
Agreed.
And yeah, once you learn one, you'll find yourself being able to learn another one, and pretty soon multilingual.
Yeah, polyglot. Yeah. Okay, so before we close off, I just want to ask, is there any parting words that you would want to share? Just now I mentioned students, but just for people from the Caribbean in general. And let me be a little biased here. Anything you have to share or words for English speakers within the Caribbean? I think it's an English speaking thing.
I would say for English speakers in the Caribbean, don't take it for granted that just because we speak English, that we don't need to, or that we wouldn't be, how to put it? I would say you could still find yourself having a better understanding of people.
Yes.
When you learn their language. And I know a lot of people think, oh, but they're learning they're learning English. You know, they're learning English, so then we don't need to learn
Spanish
their
or
language.
French.
But you see people open up when you even try, when you make an effort, and then it is a way to really connect. With people.
I agree.
Through their language. And so that would be my thing for English speakers.
I agree, fully endorsed. So Shantal, it was really, really nice seeing you after all these years.
18 years,
After
can you believe it?
Really, really nice. And thank you so much for the time. Thank you for the wisdom. Thank you for sharing your journey. Like, this was really, really interesting, mind-blowing. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's no problem at all. And wishing you all the best in Canada. Good to be following you closely from afar. And wishing you lots of success.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, until next time, people, you take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Jabe.
Bye.
Bye.